Good afternoon. My name is Beatrice Setnik. I'm a clinical pharmacologist and consultant to various pharmaceutical and biotech companies. Slide 1 shows the total number of daily COVID cases and the current downward trajectory. Pfizer stated that most of the COVID cases observed in their study were during the July to August period, a time when the Delta variant was predominant and now makes up more than 99% of the tested strains. Despite this, the immunogenicity of the vaccine against the Delta strain was only tested in 38 children using a non-validated assay as an exploratory measure. To date, Pfizer has not disclosed any biodistribution data for this vaccine. There is evidence that biodistribution and mRNA expression in these vaccine technologies are not limited to localization at the site of injection and may potentially cause safety implications for other organs and tissues. On slide 2, the figure shows the number of COVID cases stratified by age group. COVID cases among 5 to 11-year-olds represent 5.3% of all COVID cases. 5 to 11-year-olds have one of the lowest COVID case percentages in relation to their percentage in the U.S. population, despite not having current EUA access to the vaccine. Furthermore, the 0 to 11-year-olds consistently had the lowest percent emergency department visits with diagnosed COVID. On the next slide, slide 3, COVID-19 deaths are reported by age group. Fortunately, there were few deaths reported for 0 to 17-year-olds. When we examined the age groups 5 to 11 years, 156 deaths occurred, which represent 0.03% of the total COVID deaths. The majority of COVID deaths were attributed to other comorbidities in the presence of COVID. COVID deaths in 5 to 11-year-olds were 0.008% by total numbers of COVID cases. When deaths were examined on the whole population of 0 to 17-year-olds, these comprised, and please note the correction on the slide, the correct number is 0.014% deaths relative to the total COVID-19 cases reported in this age group. The overwhelmingly high likelihood of survival rate of 99.99% in children is not a justification for emergency use. We can skip to slide 5, which shows the adverse events reported to the VAERS database following exposure to the Pfizer vaccine, with 25 deaths reported for the 6 to 17-year-old age group and 245 life-threatening events. VAERS is notoriously underreported. In Canada, 206 reports of Bell's palsy recently warranted an update to the Comirnaty product monograph. Canada has 1/10 of the U.S. population. In addition, there have been increasing reports of menstrual irregularities following COVID vaccination, to the point that the NICHD recently awarded $1.67 million in research funds to further explore this. Yet this does not even appear as an adverse event of special interest in this study. What impact does this vaccine have on our vulnerable prepubescent and developing girls? What increased risks will occur in children with the clearly short-lived and waning effects of the vaccine that will require an unknown number of booster shots in the future? The risk-benefit analysis presented today does not account for any of this. We know the risks of myocarditis and pericarditis are a real risk, particularly for young boys. Slide 6 shows these post-approval requirements that the FDA mandated to Pfizer on August 23rd. This demonstrates that many years of additional studies are required to establish the safety and efficacy of Comirnaty in both children and adults. Long-term complications of myocarditis after vaccination will not have final reports until May of 2027. On the next slide, slide 7, the guidelines for emergency use authorization clearly state that the known and potential benefits must outweigh the known and potential risks of the vaccine. Pfizer makes assumptions that vaccinations may cause substantial reductions in virus transmission. However, the CDC citation Pfizer provided clearly states that more studies are needed and that transmission does in fact occur with the vaccinated. Finally, on slide 8, Health Canada is recording a high number of reported rates of serious adverse events following the administration of the Pfizer Comirnaty vaccine, with the majority appearing after the first dose. Assuming drug safety has had devastating consequences, thalidomide being one such example that caused deformities in newborn children. In the 1990s, the FDA assumed that OxyContin had less abuse potential compared to other opioids, making a false claim that helped fuel the opioid epidemic that still ravages our children and communities to this day. Please do not assume that this vaccine is safe in our children until all data, including long-term data, has been carefully evaluated. Thank you.